Welcome
Mike.
back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of No Place Like Homaha. I'm your host, JD Wonder, alongside my co-host, Nick Henricks, and Mike Love.
What to do, baby boos?
Please never say that again.
I don't think that's in your arsenal, bud.
Nothing at this point is in my arsenal, so I might as well try to mix it up with something.
You're trying
Yeah,
to,
probably don't do that though.
Well, why not, boys?
that's a scratch in the no-go column so far.
That is
Got
what
a
I would
no-go
consider
column?
not perf, as you just texted
It's
us.
now made. Now you've made a column.
All right, so Nick's 0 for 2 in a column here. Much
So-
like a few teams were this weekend.
Absolutely.
Oh my god, that was perfectly segued.
I love that.
Segued, I know. Well,
Words
I
are
think we
hard
should-
sometimes.
I think we
No.
should hit off with our normal group for the weekend who
Mhm.
gave up another football scoring weekend.
Oof.
The Iona Gales decided to win
Yeah,
a series
baby.
and then
Oh, no.
continue to fall off. They ended up losing to Fordham last week in their midweek 9-5. St. John's they lost in midweek 8-3, and then they ended up losing to Marist 18-4 game 1, 24-1 game 2 on Saturday, and then they decided to kind of hold them close 7-0 on Sunday. All three losses. They've got no more chances to make it into the conference tournament as they've only got 2 big series left, and they are outie. So Iona Gales are done for this year, boys.
You're kidding me.
I'm. It's sad to say. It's a sad
The
run.
train
but it's
the
over.
train has officially stopped chugging.
Bro.
So
The
you're saying
gale
we
force
shouldn't
winds
drop the
aren't blowing.
shouldn't drop the shirts that we made for
No, we shouldn't.
So you're saying we should stop the pod because it's
exactly.
not
I think
coming
it's
out,
just, might as well just end it at this point.
So you think if I show her that we're not finishing that sentence.
We all know what you're headed towards. Looking towards another game, Wolford, as we have coined the phrase. Anyways, Wofford, whatever you want to call them, dropped 2 out of 3 to Samford, so their time in the top 25. Again, I haven't seen the rankings; they might fall out from that.
They're not in it. UC Santa Barbara's in there
They
though.
did.
They hold
Yeah,
a
they-
chokehold on their conference so far,
They're choking
Yeah.
them.
basically.
Basically, yeah.
Sick.
Coaches are
What?
top, but yeah, Wofford did not have a very good week at all, and I think some top 25 teams did not have good weekends. I know Texas did not have a good weekend against Oklahoma State.
They got swept, didn't they?
Clean
Texas
sweep,
is
and
not
I think
even
it was in
ranked.
Austin. Yeah. This week they're not. I'm looking at the top 25 right now. Yep,
Oh,
they
I
got
don't see
pushed
them
out
there.
after this.
Dang. Well, I mean, in that game, Bryce Osman, I believe is his name, had a perfect game into the 5th. So I believe that was on Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was a stellar performance from him. Just looking at some other games from the weekend, I'm checking to see.
Maryland threw one.
Georgia Southern did end up
Yeah,
blowing out, but they
Maryland
lost.
threw one.
They
Mhm.
threw a perfect game.
Maryland
did?
throw a perfect game.
Mhm.
Yep.
Was it combined or was it just one guy?
Believe it
Nope,
was just
one
one
guy.
guy.
Ryan Ramsey, perfect
38
game.
And
nothing the very first
7
day,
or
Friday.
9?
Full 9 innings. 9 innings, no
Wow,
hits, no walks,
impressive.
10 Ks on 118 pitches nonetheless, too.
Clap it up.
Oh,
Clap it up
man.
for that. That's
Pretty good.
impressive. Mike, you better clap, I swear. I'm
No.
gonna come through the computer.
No.
30. It was the 34th perfect or 36th game in D1 history, and then there was also a perfect game in D3. Top 25 team by the name of Webster. They had a pitcher throw a perfect game as well. Alec Elges, I think is how you pronounce his name. He went 9 innings, no hits, no runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts, and he had a Maddox. He went 95 pitches.
Oh wow.
So he was under 100 pitches, and he went a full perfect game complete. That's pretty impressive.
Impressive, yes.
Webster's a very good team as well. They're in the top 25 for D3. So
Can we just jump back to this Texas thing real quick? How did it go from 10th to not even
Not even
being
ranked.
ranked?
let's take a look at this here.
Well, is
They've been
Oklahoma
kind of-
State ranked?
Yes.
Yeah, Oklahoma State was
Okay,
ranked
yeah,
top
then
4 in
I-
the country.
They're
got
third
no
right
idea.
now.
They are
I have
third.
no idea how they got knocked out. That
Doesn't even make sense?
I know we had some fall out of the lower, like the 20s.
Right,
looking
but they
at-
essentially just dropped 15 spots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
I-
dropped heavy.
Mikey, do you want to have a conversation?
No,
With
I
them?
hate Texas, so I'm okay.
All right. You pick and choose your battles.
Yeah.
Run production in Austin for the weekend. 8-6 final. Okie State on Friday. 14-3 on Saturday. 8-10 on Sunday. So Oklahoma State was kind of rolling through. Saturday, I believe, was the perfect game. Perfect game in the fifth day for Oklahoma State. Other teams that dropped out besides Wofford and Texas, the only one was Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern, yeah, because they dropped 2 out of 3 to Coastal Carolina.
Yep.
Which was impressive. They were Coastal almost swept them, and they hadn't been swept in a series.
Well, Coastal was ranked at some point this season. They've been. You're telling me Texas is 10, and they lose to the 8 seed, and they
And they
drop
just get knocked out.
15, while Oklahoma goes up 5.
Yeah, it's very weird.
It doesn't make sense.
Now I might want to
Personally,
have a conversation.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I
let's
would
have
too.
a conversation.
That doesn't make any sense, dude.
Yeah, losing to a higher ranked opponent.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Well,
Like,
the
you
one thing that
Go ahead.
keep going. I was
No,
going to say
you're
the one
good.
thing that Texas has kind of going against them so far this season is their schedule has been they've been shaky coming in through Big 12 play. They're still 31-16, but they're 9-9 overall in conference. They're now on the 3-game skid after losing that, but within their last 2 series, they lost 1 to TCU, won the series. They lost 2 games to Kansas State on the road, and then ended up taking game 3 of the series, swamped all over Baylor. But then you come into the ranked opponent scene, and they haven't done well when it comes to teams with the Big 12 besides TCU. Otherwise, they've been kind of struggling. South Carolina beat them in a doubleheader early in the season, taking 2 out of 3 in that game. The biggest win that they got is Tennessee and LSU.
But even then, like Miami got beat. They lost the series to an unranked Georgia team.
Mm-hmm.
And Miami only fell from they were 3rd. They fell from 3 to 6. And Georgia Tech enters the top 25.
Mm-hmm.
That they
Like,
did.
to me, that makes no sense.
One other notable pushback here, Notre Dame jumped up 2 spots from 18 to 16. Texas State stayed. Southern Miss, they ended up dropping a little bit. They dropped 3 spots after their series this weekend. I'm looking to see how they did.
Like, even this, TCU got beat by Florida State, and TCU's still on top.
Strength of schedule must have a play in that, or at some point in the numbers, because Southern Miss dropped 2 games to UAB. They dropped their game on Friday 6-10, and then they dropped it 3-2 on Saturday 1-9-6 is final. They only dropped 3 spots. They got Old Dominion coming up next.
Yeah, and we talked about that
Yeah,
honestly last
baby.
week. That they were gonna, like, if they hit a skid, we thought that they were gonna fall, especially far. But
Yeah, but
Mhm.
I didn't never thought 15. I mean,
Mhm.
surely in my brain it's pea-sized, but surely they'd go from 10 to at least 20-ish. There's no reason for them to fall 15 spots, I feel like. And then Texas A&M, I don't know if they've been climbing, but they're 13th in the nation. They were 21st last week.
Yeah, they were 21st. I'll
Mhm.
take a look at their schedule.
And they
they
beat
beat
an
2 out of 3.
unranked
They took 2 out of
Vanderbilt
3.
team.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 from Vanderbilt.
And whatever.
You just don't even know anymore.
Yeah, I don't know who makes
I'm there
this.
with you, man.
This shit makes no sense. But you said Texas is 9-9 in the Big 12?
They're 9-9 in the Big 12.
Man.
Are they even going to be able to hang in any sport when they go to the SEC?
So when you actually kind of look at the numbers offensively, they're able to hang with some of the best in the country. But when it comes to the pitching, it seems like that has been losing them the game. For example, Oklahoma State has some pretty top bullpen arms, obviously being number 4th in the country, or now 3rd, aren't they? Yeah, they're 3rd in the country now. But when you're able to hold an offensive team like this, just trying to go through, see if I can get that stat line from Saturday on the box score, that 14-3 game. Texas only had 6 hits on 3 runs, and those there was a home run in the 8th inning for Texas, and that was the 3-run home run. So that was the only runs that they had scored the entire day was in the 8th.
Was that Ivan?
No, it was not. It was Todd. So it was Austin Todd.
I wonder if they're even going to be able to hang just in terms of athletics.
Mhm.
Because I mean, they're not good at they're not awful at football.
They're
But you're going
average.
to a powerhouse conference
Right.
for football.
Yeah.
Normally every conference has got its competitiveness in baseball, but you're going to the SEC,
Very
which
good
has got
conference for baseball.
teams like Tennessee, frickin' Arkansas,
Arkansas.
Vanderbilt's usually good
Auburn,
every year,
South
Texas A&M,
Carolina,
Ole
Alabama,
Miss.
Yeah, South
Got all
Carolina.
these,
Georgia's making a name for themselves
yeah, you
again.
got
Mississippi
all these
State,
big dogs.
Ole
Yep.
Miss.
It's like, are they even going to be able, at least in the men's? I don't know how Texas is in women's sports. In the men's, it just seems like they won't even be able to be competitive.
Volleyball would probably be their biggest competitive sport because they're usually top 5 in the country there. Softball, they've been top in the country a few years. So, I mean, if you actually take a look at that, I think Texas is still, this year at least, they were supposed to be one of the top teams in the country. Now they're seen as kind of the mediocre team,
I think they'll still
popping in
come
and
back
out.
though. I mean, we
Oh,
still have conference
100%.
play to come, but I mean, they are 9-9 in the Big 12. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if they'll be able to make it out of that with that Big 12 championship.
Yeah, and I'm trying to. I don't know where I can look to try to find full conference standings on that.
Oh, I got you.
But
Hold on.
yeah, go for it. But now I know that Oklahoma State should be at the top of the conference because I'm going to take a look at their schedule to see how they've fared against TCU. But Texas has West Virginia coming up this weekend, and then they have Kansas to close out the year.
Okay, here's your
Going
rankings
to-
for the Big 12.
All right, go for it.
You got Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Texas, Baylor, Kansas State, and Kansas.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
But then you
sit
look,
Texas
yeah,
down there.
it's crazy because you even look at the conference leaders in terms of stats.
Mm-hmm.
You got Ivan leading in batting average, home runs, and then he's not even top 5 in stolen bases, but he's a first base, isn't he?
Yeah, he is first base.
And then you look at pitching, you got Pete Hansen, he's leading. He's tied for first with 7 wins. They got a top 3 pitcher in ERA with a 3, and then they got a top 3 pitcher with strikeouts at 82. So it's like, where
The
are
numbers
they
are all
going
there.
wrong? I guess they're just hitting a little skid, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Might be kind of like we talked about last week. Sometimes those those last couple of weeks of conference play really decide who still needs some work before the tournaments start. And I think Texas is one of those teams where they're still definitely got the offensive and the pitching power to do it. But if they're going to struggle this much, they need to kind of take a step back with these next 2 kind of, I would say, gimme series, I would call them, when you got West Virginia and you got Kansas coming up.
Well, see, even West Virginia might not be a gimme because they're 9-6 on the year.
Mm-hmm.
In
I was
conference.
just
They're
about
not
to
a
say that
bad
too.
team.
No.
I think they could be a little. I mean, you got even Oklahoma, they're not a baseball school, but I think the Big 12, the ACC, and the SEC and how the conference tournament pans out will be very interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, in Oklahoma State, they've got Southeast Missouri State for a 3-game series this week, so they're not playing a Big 12 opponent until March 13th. And then they've got 2 weeks of conference play back-to-back with Texas Tech, and that's going to be in Stillwater, so that's at home for Oklahoma State. And then they got to go to Waco Thursday, Friday, Saturday, May 19th through the 21st to play Baylor before the conference tournament starts. So interesting schedule for Oklahoma State on that one.
You even got the Pac-12. I didn't think the Pac-12 was this competitive.
For baseball, the Pac-12
Well, yeah,
is
it's
usually
usually you got the higher teams, and but now it's definitely fighting.
One thing that what is it, 5? Go ahead, my bad.
I was gonna say one thing that just stuck out to me from talking about the Pac-12 is that Stanford lost 2 or 3 to Washington, and they're still 11th because Washington's not ranked, which was a crazy kind of turnout.
But I mean, when you kind of take a look at it, teams that really are still notable for conferences, I mean, the SEC has a handful of ranked teams still in there, the Pac-12 as well. Then you throw it into the Big 12 has a few teams there, but then you get the teams that are not so well known on conferences. You've got Gonzaga, who's still in there. They stayed at 12 this weekend. Maryland, the only Big 10 team to sneak into the top 25 so far and hold spots. I mean, they were 23 last week. They've now bumped up after this weekend. They're 35-9 on the year. They're leading the Big 10. You got teams like UC Santa Barbara, who's now in it, and they're 30-10. They were unranked. Georgia Southern was in there. Wofford, Southern Miss is still within the top 10, and they're ranked at 4, or they're ranked at 7 after this week. So I mean, you've got teams that are still competing that aren't Power 5 schools, and then you have your normal Power 5 schools who should be up there. Tennessee still holding up top. And Ben Joyce, 105.5 miles an
broke
hour.
his own record.
That's the fastest pitch thrown in D1 baseball at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
He's I don't know if you
Super
saw this, but
impressive.
he's second on fastest pitch thrown in baseball history behind Araldis.
I was gonna say that's a big list.
Interesting.
That's a very small list, but to throw a ball 105 miles an hour, that's a big.
He's in college still.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
impressive.
That's gonna be scary.
I just don't know where the ceiling is to where it's like, okay, no human can physically throw any harder. You know what I'm saying? Because there's got to be a point when it's like, okay, physically the arm cannot produce any more force on the baseball to throw it. So I don't know if we'll just continue to grow and then finally reach that ceiling. But I mean,
I think it
it's
has
just impressive to see.
a bigger price to do with age. I mean, you look at like a Zach
For sure.
Greinke, who he's never been overpowering, but he's definitely gone down in terms of velocity, and his craftiness has definitely gone up.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Learn how to spot up for sure.
That's a great look there, because I mean, pitchers can still do that. You may drop 10 miles an hour in velocity, and he may only go back to 95 once he gets in the league. If Ben Joyce goes, which I imagine that he would, but taking a look at how pitchers work, you can still throw 95 in the league, and his stuff moves just because of how weird his it's like a 3/4 arm slot. He's got a massive amount of movement on pitches. Slider is filthy.
Oh, my bad. It also helps too that he's not a starting pitcher.
Yes,
like he doesn't need to go out there and go for 5-6 innings. He can go out and just do 2 and just gas up all 45 pitches that he throws.
Can throw full arm. Not worried about the length of the game. Comes in and, and takes care of the situation for sure. So we kind of touched on it. The top 25. Nick, do you want to list off? Mikey, you ready to hold your breath?
Born ready, my guy.
Not a lot of switches in it, but number 1, Tennessee still remains there. Oregon State stays at 2. Oklahoma State had that 5-point jump there at 4 or at 3. Arkansas is at 4. Virginia Tech now at 5. Miami 6. Southern Miss 7. They had a fallback. UCLA jumps up to 8 from 13. Texas Tech at 9. Louisville 10. Stanford State got back to 11. Gonzaga 12. Texas A&M 13. Virginia 14. They drop back 3 spots. Connecticut, the Huskies stay at 15. Notre Dame hops up 2 spots to 16. Texas State stays 17. Maryland gets their big move at 18 now. Auburn at 19. LSU 20. Georgia Tech 21. Georgia 22. Florida State, TCU, UC Santa Barbara in that order, round out 23, 24, and 25. Teams to drop out, like we said, Texas, Georgia Southern, and Wofford.
I'm definitely dying under. If my car goes underwater, I'm dying. Full transparency.
Full transparency. I made it. That was a speed one though, for sure.
I was trying to. But and then so we'll take on the also D1 hot streak so far for the week. Columbia is 19 wins on the road right now.
That's my fault. I thought it was 18.
They're 26 and 13 on the year. Maine is 13 win streak. They're 23 and 14 on the year. Toledo, the Rockets, are on a 10-game win streak. Charlotte, the Miners, are at 9. And then Ball State is on an 8-game win streak as well. So win streaks are kind of slowing down in college baseball for a few teams.
Do you think it's impressive for them to do that when they come from not the Power 5 conferences compared to if an Oregon State or like a Tennessee were able to go on a 27-game win streak? That's a little much, but
I mean, Tennessee went on a 23-game win streak, and they were
right.
But, I mean, a lot of that was still at the beginning half of the year. It was after the loss to Texas. But, I mean, still, you take a look at teams like that who are still able to win 15 games in baseball. I mean, that's insane. Like, take a look at the Cleveland Indians, for example. They finally broke the longest winning streak. Or Guardians, sorry. Wow. No demonetization here, YouTube. Thank you. But the Guardians, back when they were the Indians, they went on the longest win streak in baseball. And they were facing professionals. So, I mean, I think at any point in leagues and careers, you're facing a lot of tough guys no matter where they go. So if you can rack up double-digit wins in baseball, personally, I think that's insane.
Right.
So then going back to Tennessee, they've only lost how many games?
4.
With them only losing 4, and there what being 2 weekends left? 1, 3,
2 weekends of
2
conference. Or
weekends.
three full weekends, yes.
Is there quote unquote maybe too much not I guess pressure put on them by the public to quote unquote be perfect throughout the rest of their run and then into the postseason? Or do you think I can't even think of their head coach's name.
He's one of the biggest coaches. It blanks me every time I want to say it too.
Yeah, do you think it's
Somebody Google
like
it.
he is
I'm
doing a
Googling.
decent enough job to the point where he's got his team not thinking about winning every game from here on out? 'Cause, I
I
mean, they
think.
dropped one game to a damn good Auburn team.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I just think that like when it comes around to postseason play and then going into the tournament, like if you get a bid, all regular season goes out the window. I think that then it's game by game, and I think their coach there is going to do a good job of enforcing that. But yeah, you do feel a lot of pressure, especially going into the tournament, being a favorite. Again, we've seen that year in and year out, teams that are very, very good in season, and then all of a sudden they get to postseason play, either don't win their conference tournament or then get into the rounds of 64 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the
Then
regional 64.
then they crap the bed there. So I mean, it's just one game at a time. After once the regular season ends, I feel like everything's out the window.
So then, could they be considered one of the most busted teams if they don't make it to the round of 64?
I don't think it's so much busted, but more so it's just like then the pressure just got to them.
Like, say they go 2-Q in the SEC tournament.
If Tennessee goes 2-Q in the SEC tournament, I think a lot of people will be questioning it. But at the same time, it's a lot of good teams. Really, the SEC tournament kind of proves it because I'm trying to look at. So here, this is the perfect example. Mississippi State last year, the reigning national champions. They went 2-Q in the SEC tournament. 2 losses, 13-1 against Florida, 12-2 against Tennessee. Come through the regionals and they only lost 1 game, and that was to Notre Dame 9-1 in Starkville through the regional. And then they come into the College World Series, lose 1 game to Texas, lose a game to Vanderbilt, but ended up beating a very, very good and a very powerful pitching staff in Vanderbilt. But their offense carried them through. And I think Tennessee's offense, even if they stumble in the SEC tournament, they've got more than enough offense to push themselves back through. And Mississippi State last year closed out. They lost a series to Missouri, and then they beat Alabama in a full clean sweep before going to conference play. Beat South Carolina the series before, and then they kept going through. Lost a series to Vanderbilt out of their last 4 series. So,
Okay, so now how about this? I know that Josh knows this, but some of our viewers might not. If you win, it's like this at actually every level. If you win your conference, automatic bid to the tournament.
Yeah.
Do you think even if Tennessee goes 2-Q, even though they're the number 1 ranked team in the nation, would they be deserving of it if like their ranking, like say they were 26th in the nation and they go 2-Q, would they still be as deserving to make it to that round of 64?
Like, so you're saying if they fall to then out of the top 25?
No, just hypothetically. So like they're making the round of 64 no matter what the rest of the season holds, no matter how they do in the SEC tournament. But say they were ranked 26th at the end of regular season, and they go 2-Q in the tournament. Should they be then not automatically given a bid, but do you think they're still deserving of a bid, or should it go to a team that, got 3rd in their other Power 5 conference, but wasn't as, prolific in terms of rankings throughout the season?
I still think, like, when I said, like, throw regular season out the window, I think that that's more so of concepts of game-to-game playing. I still think that to only lose 4 games so far in the entire season and then continue to, play those games and maybe they drop a few more down the road, that's still a noticeable amount of wins. And I don't think it should just be negated by that. But
well, no, just even taking not taking into account their 40-4 record right now. Say they were 23-17.
Okay,
I don't
yeah,
even
then
think
that's
that adds up.
That's
But
that's a little different. Yes.
then
like,
yeah, for sure.
okay, so then we can just take I don't know. Like if a Texas State team, they've been in the
Okay.
top 25 for the past couple of weeks.
Mhm.
Yep.
If they, I don't even know what conference they're in. If they 2-Q their conference, are they still deserving of a bid to get into
They'll get a
the
3.
tournament?
I'd give them a 3 seed. And here's the
Yeah.
thing too is you gotta take a look at how, for those who don't know, when you get into that round of 64 for regionals, you have the regional site host who is usually a top 8 national seed, and then it kind of goes down from there, and that's the highest that goes into the regional tournament. Everybody will still be ranked in the top 25 as site hosts, but then you get your top 8 national seeds, which are the best teams in the country. Then you get down through how have rankings kind of played into it, who wins conference and gets automatic bids, and then you get your outside bubble teams. I think even if throw the hypothetical of like a 26-17 team out the window in Tennessee, if Tennessee they have Kentucky next, Georgia, Mississippi State, even if they drop 2 of those series and still would go 2-Q in the SEC, I say they're still a 3 seed. I wouldn't put them down to a 4, but I wouldn't give them a regional site host. They've been the number 1 team so far all year in the country, but I wouldn't give them a regional site host after that. And that could be very, very big hot take. Knoxville might not like me right now, but I would not give them a full top 8 national seed and a regional site host after that. Because Georgia is a top team in the country. They're ranked in the top 25. Kentucky could fall a little bit, or could be a big fall, and then Mississippi State as well. So, yeah.
I agree. Yep.
That's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I think that the top 8 seeds will definitely get those bids for sure. But again, that's completely hypothetical because I think at this point, Tennessee has it locked up.
Yeah.
To have a
And
host site and all that.
And we could be wrong. Because
Yeah.
as of right now, the top 8 national seeds would be Tennessee, Oregon State, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Virginia Tech, Miami, Southern Miss sneaks in there, UCLA. However, a lot of people right now could be questioning that Southern Miss pick and flip Texas Tech up into that. Because Texas Tech is sniffing that bowl team, and they're second in the Big 12 right now, behind an Oklahoma State team.
I think you can determine if Southern Miss is worthy or not based off of how they play Old Dominion this week. This is not like a bias.
Not the Old Dominion bias.
Definitely
it's
bias.
Like you're looking at an Old Dominion team they've not been ranked at all this year.
Yep.
They started preseason rankings.
Decent. I don't think they were.
Yeah, they were.
I don't think so. Were they? It was low then.
Only true fans would know that.
All
Lick
right,
my
all right.
ass.
Hold on. I'm going through to check it here.
They've got they still have like a notable win in beating Virginia. They've got some decent wins on here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But if Southern Miss can't handle this Old Dominion team this weekend, then I don't think they're deserving to be a regional host.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah, because I think strength of schedule has to play into it too, for sure.
The strength of schedule definitely does, but also just production as a team. And I think Southern Miss has been one of those most consistent teams to where they keep the run production up. They've scored almost just kind of looking at it now, they're scoring almost 5 to 6 runs a game and even over that. So I mean, Rice has been one of their closest opponents. And they had a 1-run game on the first day before coming into the UAB series, and UAB ended up taking 2 away from them. So, and that looks like the first series that Southern Miss has lost all year, besides Dallas Baptist sweep, and that wasn't even conference.
So, Mikey, you had something to say before we hit the upcoming games of the week?
No, I said after.
All right, fine.
All right.
We can hit the games of the week.
Fucking listen.
You know what? I try to. You just don't need to use that kind of tone with me.
Listen.
Rude. All right. I'll hit the midweek games, then you guys can pick up the weekend.
When we are recording this at the moment, Gonzaga is playing Washington, the 12th ranked team of the country. They've got Washington on this, and then as this will come out on Wednesday, we'll kind of go from there. So one game in action while we're going, as we know.
Right. And we got on Tuesday. We got Maryland, Georgetown, Tennessee, Alabama. I mean, we don't have to hit these games since they already have happened. So
Oh,
let's
yeah,
go ahead and
but-
just jump ahead. Starting on Thursday, you have Tennessee and Kentucky.
Mhm.
That's the only game on Thursday that I have. I don't know.
That is as well for the top 25 at least.
Yes. Then I can hit Friday's games. So you'll have Maryland, Rutgers, Ohio State, Northwestern, Notre Dame, William and Mary, Florida State and Boston College, Michigan, Indiana, Michigan State and Penn State, Duke and Pittsburgh, Louisville and Wake Forest, Creighton and UConn, Vanderbilt,
That'll be a good game.
Georgia, yes, Texas and West Virginia, just like we kind of talked about earlier, North Carolina, NC State, Georgia Tech and Clemson, which Georgia Tech has been kind of on a little bit of a hot streak here, and they'll be hoping to take some more from Clemson. Texas State and UL Monroe, Old Dominion Southern Miss, which we talked about, Purdue, Iowa, Miami, Ohio versus Illinois, Southeast Missouri State versus Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Oklahoma, TCU, LSU, Alabama, Nodak State, Miami, Nebraska, Minnesota, South Carolina, Texas A&M, which will also be a good game because I believe South Carolina swept Alabama this weekend. Missouri, Ole Miss, Florida, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Auburn, Utah Valley, Washington State, Utah, Arizona State, Oregon State, California, and Stanford.
Fuck, are
Arizona,
you rattling off?
USC,
He's
UCLA,
rattling off games
Washington,
for the
and
weekend.
UC Santa
Are you just
Barbara.
rattling off every
Irvine.
game of every conference?
No.
I'm just rattling off what I got pulled up. So
Jesus.
he's
But-
got nothing to do with it.
Jesus has everything
say.
to do with this.
He
was
blessed us
gonna
with the
say-
game of baseball for sure, but he doesn't have anything to do with the rankings.
I was going to say a
He
big
does.
team that needs a key bounce back weekend or a key just kind of keeping on the hot streak is Georgia Tech right now. They got Clemson, like you said, coming up this weekend. That's at Clemson. But they ended up dropping a series to Duke before coming into Miami and taking that full series from Miami in a 2-1, and then they beat North Carolina as well. So they're trying to keep that hot streak going on winning some series after this Duke. They've got Pitt left after Clemson to round out their ACC conference play. So Georgia Tech, I think, is one of those teams that needs to keep the momentum going as well.
Another big one is Arkansas and Auburn.
Yes.
That'll be a good SEC matchup for sure.
Arkansas definitely one of those teams that wants to keep their hopes in a
Mhm.
potential SEC title alive.
Yeah, and also being a host side too, if they can hold in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Vanderbilt and
Yes,
Georgia will still be good, even
yeah.
though Vanderbilt's kind of on a skid.
Well, and depending on how the weekend goes for these last 3 SEC series, Arkansas has not played Tennessee at all. But yet they would be that next team up, I believe, in the SEC standings.
Yeah.
So they've got Auburn coming up this weekend, like we talked about, Vanderbilt, and then they close out against Alabama. So.
Then the last one that really caught my attention was Maryland and Rutgers, which will be a good Big Ten matchup. Because I feel like Rutgers is that team that's still knocking on the door. I feel like they're doing well still, just tickling the outside.
Tickling the pickle, as they say.
I was going to say that's
Something
kind of
like
a
that.
weird way to state that.
I think that goes in my pros column
No.
for me.
I think
can
that
definitely
goes
use
in
that term.
neither of yours because, my turn to talk. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Here's my question to you, little
yes,
hooligans.
All right, go for it. Drop it in.
Of all the series that are happening this weekend,
Ooh,
pick
all right.
your notable one and give me the breakdown of the 3 game.
Ooh, I like it.
Nick, you want to go first?
I'm trying to take another look at
You
series
can't
starting
repeat.
Friday.
You can't repeat. There's
No,
only
I'm
5
not
of
gonna
us,
take.
so-
I'm not gonna take a repeat.
Oh,
No,
I
so
would
like
say
if you pick,
if I picked one and then
if you
picked
pick the
same
Notre
one,
Dame William and Mary
Gotcha.
series, Josh can't pick that.
well, that's
Okay.
definitely one to. No, I'm kidding. I think Notre Dame will easily sweep that game, that series.
I'm.
You go ahead.
Oh,
Yep,
wait.
you got.
I was gonna
handed
say
to you
I'm
first.
looking way.
Sure,
No,
world,
I'm
we're
on
just
May.
living in it.
I'm on May 6th, aren't I?
I don't know. I'm not on
I have
your
no
computer.
idea.
Dude, I got crossed up so hard here.
Well, you don't play
'Cause-
basketball, so
Tennessee, Kentucky was the only game happening on Thursday, correct?
Yeah,
yeah, they're
Okay,
playing
I don't
Friday.
know why. Yeah, I don't
Thursday,
know why
Friday,
I got.
Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know why I got so crossed up here. Well, now my
And
schedule's all
then
out of whack.
Sunday is the Lord's Day.
Yes.
as well as Mother's Day. Shout out all the moms
Oh,
that
yeah.
aren't
Yeah,
listening to
shout
this
out
podcast.
all the moms. Gotta throw those in there. I think one
You
of the
know any
biggest.
hot moms? Send them my way.
Oh no! Wow. All right.
Got a plug.
Got a plug. I kind of want to take a. What series do I even want to take a dive into? I'm just kind of looking at these now.
I've been looking at it for the past 5 minutes.
Yep,
I know. I think probably the biggest series that I do want to touch on again is that Georgia Tech series because they've had a very good year as well so far. But they need to, like I said, they need to keep this hot streak coming in on momentum. They got a Clemson team who at the beginning of the year was a very, very hot offense, and they were kind of not one to shy away from. So, like I said, they dropped the series between Duke. They ended up beating a very good Miami team who, like I've talked about in past episodes, it's a very young Miami team. So the inexperience there has kind of been very harmful and a blessing for the Hurricanes. They haven't seen, or not a lot of guys are known, so it's hard to pitch them. It's really hard to kind of get underneath their skin very easily, but I still think that there's a way to give Miami a run, or there's a way for Miami to give teams a run for their money as well. But offensively, I think Georgia Tech is one of those teams that's kind of a little bit of a dark horse when it comes to the ACC and when it just comes to regional play within itself. And Clemson dropped their they got swept by Louisville this weekend. They ended up taking a series from Florida State 2 weeks ago. They had Georgia. They ended up taking a win from his top 25 team, Wake Forest. They took a series from who's a very good Wake Forest pitching team. So Georgia Tech has their hands tied out for them, and Clemson as well. They've got Virginia coming up in one of their last series, and then Boston College. So I think Georgia Tech's implications to stay in the top 25 this weekend are huge.
Mm-hmm. I would say just looking at this weekend, I think Arkansas and Auburn will be a big series for them because I feel like if Arkansas can sweep, then they have real contention against Tennessee because Tennessee did take 2 out of 3 against that pretty good Auburn team. But I definitely think that if Arkansas wants to stay in the discussion, they got to take 2 out of 3 from Auburn. So I definitely think if their offense keeps rolling, then they will succeed. But again, gotta take that 2 out of 3 at least.
And Auburn does have coming into the series one of the top hitters in the country in Sonny Chari, who's hitting 436 on the year.
Yep.
So, and those SEC bats, when they get hot, man, they get hot.
Mikey, your pick.
Yeah, my first one, I wanted to do Old Dominion Southern Miss, I did. I don't know. No, but the pick that I got is the Maryland Rutgers one.
Mm-hmm.
I like that pick.
That is a good one.
Solely because Rutgers leads the Big Ten right now, and they're not ranked. And you look at a Maryland team who's sitting second in the conference, who is ranked. So to me, it just kind of makes sense that Rutgers is going to come into this kind of pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
I'd agree.
And really, this is their last chance for them to kind of prove that they're deserving of a ranking because they've got Bowling Green and then Michigan to finish it out.
Totally
Neither of which are, powerhouse schools. But it's
Agreed.
just it'll make or break. Plus, it's basically the battle for the Big Ten at that point too.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I think whoever wins this series, I think Rutgers is going to come away with it. I think they're going to go 2-1, but it's a huge thing. You got Maryland who just threw that perfect game this past weekend, and Rutgers who just keeps flying under the radar this year.
Yeah, well, they had one guy this past weekend who had 3 homers. Ryan Laskow, I think is how you pronounce his name.
And they're one of the top hitting teams in the country. They're ranked 5th for batting average, hitting 317 as a total team.
Yeah, it's almost disrespectful to not rank them in a way.
It really is.
Exactly.
Well,
to be number 1 in the conference and
and not have your name there, and you got the number 2 guy, number 2 team in the conference that is ranked. Like what? So I think that'll produce one hell of a series. But that's just me. Thanks for coming my TED Talk.
Yeah, could be big implications coming through that as well. just on a potential, I wouldn't say like a regional site, but there could be a bid for that, especially whoever wins the Big Ten tournament. I think you might look at giving a regional site.
To me, I don't agree with that, just because the Big Ten has not been super, competitive this year. It's got the top 4 teams in it, the middle, and then the bottom 4. Whereas if you look at the SEC or the ACC,
Oh, yeah.
it's just they're dominant, bro. There's a reason they're top. Like, there's a reason.
Oh, yeah.
The top 10 is built up of one non-Power 5 conference team.
Yeah. And I will say, though, like, there are teams that do get regional host sites, especially kind of towards the end of the 64. And I think whoever wins this Big Ten could potentially be one of those teams to slip in as well. But, no, like you did say, the Big Ten is not the biggest conference, especially not very well known for baseball. Not a lot of teams on big lists at all. So
it'd be cool.
There's a long shot in the dark. Yeah.
For sure.
It'd definitely be cool to see not an SEC or ACC team get a regional bid, but it's just highly unlikely, I think.
Yeah. I think if Rutgers or Maryland continues their runs that they're on and gets to the supers, depending on where that seating lies, then yes, the super regional host is definitely up for discussion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you gotta fight through it. And I think the Big Ten in the last couple of years, any team that gets in there, they've gotten hit with a lot of tough regions. Because I know Nebraska
had Arkansas last year.
Nebraska's had Arkansas and Oregon State. I think that might have been Creighton that same year. But there's been a lot of Big Ten teams that just get shafted by the regional sites.
Well, do you think they do that on purpose? Kind of like, I'm not saying they do this in
I don't
football
know,
on
Michigan.
purpose.
Oh, yeah,
Like
no.
they put Cincinnati against like an Alabama.
Yeah.
Or is a team that's going to run through them? You think that the board that decides the 64 puts these Big Ten teams who think that they should be, ranked higher than they are in these specific regions to kind of prove you guys just aren't there yet?
I don't know. I mean, like Michigan made it to the championship like a few years ago. And I feel like eventually you just have to play those opponents. So like to face them earlier obviously does suck, but like if you want to be the best out of all the teams, you got to prove against any opponent that you can win. So
I would agree with that. And I think just kind of as you take a look at it, you get teams like Incarnate Word, Holy Cross, some of those lower level D1 teams that start sneaking in there because they do win their conference or they still have a good record and are those outside bubble teams. And you get a lot of those teams put into the Fayetteville regional with Arkansas or Tennessee Tech, for example, went to Swayze Field and played in the Oxford regional. And they were one of the biggest offensive teams in the country, but still not a lot of people knew the name. And they ran through the Oxford regional and they hop in and barely lose to Texas, I think maybe 4 years ago. But teams like that are kind of fun teams to watch. And then UC Santa Barbara, when they beat Louisville on the walk-off home run years back, they were not supposed to be in the CWS. And look at where they went. So, I mean, it's kind of tough to decide where to put teams in regionals, and it's kind of tough to see which dark horse team which team gets thrown in there and becomes the dark horse and moves through. So I think to me, and Mike, you'll enjoy this, but I think Old Dominion is going to be one of those teams. Like Rutgers, you throw them in there, they might not be the host site, but they're going to be that 2 or 3 seed, maybe 4, depending on who else is in the regional. But they'll tear through it, and they'll show why they should have been ranked higher or getting a higher seed. Or they might just say, well, we're going to come out and we're going to not care and we're going to have fun and win, and then they win, a.k.a. Coastal Carolina. So.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for this show today. If you aren't already following us on TikTok or Twitter, we are at Homaha Pod. Since you're already on our YouTube channel, obviously watching the show, like and subscribe. No place like Omaha Podcast. And we're closely reaching the end of the season. Hopefully we'll be able to do some brackets and you'll get to see how wrong we can be. So
that'll be fun.
Yep. Any closing statements from you guys?
Yeah, this video is sponsored by Canada Dry.
All right, another sponsor. Baby. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Real 100% ginger.
Yes.
like
You know it's true because I'm saying it. What up?
Oh man, the ginger ninja is the one.
Yeah,
that's
I'm from Ireland, but Canada drive, my guy.
Canada. All right.
no demonetization.
No, exactly. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you again next week.